Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanMuscle.com. Today we're taking a closer look at installing and dyno testing the JLT Series 3 cold air intake with the BAMA Rev-X by SCT tuner combo kit available for the 05 to 09 Mustang GT. You should be checking this out for your early S197 if you're looking to pick up a convenient combo kit that features an upgraded cold air intake and a tuner combo to boost horsepower and torque numbers, throttle response, acceleration, and overall just give you a better breathing and performing engine. Right off the bat, we of course established our baseline run, completely bone stock with our stock intake, 93 octane in the tank and our factory tune. Dynoed it, walked away with 270 horsepower and about 299 foot-pounds of torque at the rear wheels. We then uninstalled our factory intake, threw on our JLT Series 3, tuned it to the BAMA 93 octane tune for the intake, ran it again with 93 in the tank, and walked away with 285 horsepower and 314 foot-pounds of torque at the rear wheels. Good for gains of 15 horsepower and 15 torque at the rear, but the curve gains are even more impressive than those peak gains. We made our biggest curve gains at around 5,600 RPM, so the top end of the RPM band, walking away with 38 horsepower and 35 torque. We noticed our factory tune dies off a little bit with power and torque at the top end, whereas our new BAMA tune and JLT combo really picks things up. I'm really impressed with those gains at the top end, but we really got good gains all across the RPM band. We're looking at 314 foot-pounds of torque at around 4,000 RPMs, which is a really good sweet spot, something you'll feel every day out on the road, whether it be a daily driver or weekend warrior. Either way, this combo kit really did surpass expectations. Now, this particular cold air intake from JLT is their Series 3 that features a washable and reusable oil filter and a giant 110 millimeter mass airflow housing. That's actually the largest currently available in the category, which is specifically designed for Mustangs making around or over 350 rear wheel horsepower, but it works perfectly for the daily driver as well, looking for that big bump. If you plan on adding a number of other bolt-ons to your 4.6, then it's a really good idea to pick up that larger MAF housing in order to accommodate for the more air you're going to be pulling in at some point. Now, this particular option here does, again, come with the Rev-X tuner with the BAMA tunes, 2 custom tunes to be exact, made particularly for your exact mods on your exact vehicle. Those will be the 87 octane tune, which is your street tune, great for the daily driver, weekend warrior, but the guys who really want to bump things up and maximize their potential and maximize their mods, the 93 race tune is going to be for you. In addition to all that, we'll be walking through all of the Rev-X features, but just to give you a quick sneak peek, you can expect gauges and data log capabilities, DTC code reader, Wi-Fi capabilities, cloud sync, wireless updates, so on and so forth. Now, this convenient combo kit does come at a price tag of around $600. Not necessarily the most expensive combo kit in the category, but it does feature some really premium quality materials, and I'll break that down in just a little bit. Install, 1 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter. Anybody can tackle a cold air intake. It's one of the easiest things to do under the hood. And a tune, it's really just following the directions on this screen. I'll take you through every step of the process. Took me about 2, maybe 3 hours start to finish. What do you say we get started? Tools used in this install include an impact gun or a ratchet, an extension, 8 and 10 millimeter deep sockets, 8 millimeter swivel socket is also recommended, Phillips head screwdriver, and a T20 Torx bit. All right, now the first step of the uninstall here is to look over to your left side here where the breather hose is. You're gonna push back on the green clip and pull straight out to disconnect it. On the opposite end here, we're gonna lift up on the red locking tab on our MAF sensor and pinch to disconnect. Next up, grab an 8 millimeter socket and an impact gun or a ratchet, and we're gonna loosen up the clamp holding the tubing to our throttle body. Once you have that loose, you can see this little retaining tab. Just rotate it over. We should be able to just pull it straight off. Now, right next to our air filter, there's a 10 millimeter bolt holding that whole thing on. We're gonna loosen that up and remove it. At this point, you can just pull off your entire intake in one piece. All right, so we finally got our factory intake off of our 06 GT behind me. It's on the table next to our JLT Series 3 cold air intake. I want to show you guys some of the similarities, but mainly the differences between the two kits, and we're going to start with the star parts, which is going to be our filter. Now, the factory option is a flat paper element filter. It's dry, so it's not an oiled filter, and it's not really washable and reusable. Every few thousand miles, you got to pop it out, replace it, buy a new one. Not going to be the case with your JLT. Now, JLT actually uses an S&B filter. S&B is a reputable aftermarket filter company, similar to those such as K&N or Air-Aid. They make their own filters, and often companies like JLT will use them in their kit. And this one in particular is a giant conical filter. It's 4.5 by 9 inches tall, and it's something that has a power stack at the top, which is very unique. A lot of the aftermarket filters out there, whether it be dry or oiled, cap off the top end, but not the case here with the S&B option. It's completely open, so the top end can give you a boost of cold air coming in instead of capping it off and blocking out that excess. Now this one in particular is an oiled filter. It's a high flow conical oiled filter, which means when it comes time for routine maintenance, pop it off, wash it, re-oil it, throw it right back in. No need to spend your money on a new filter. So that's a big upgrade there in the cold air intake. Now, the tubing itself from the factory has a lot of kinks, bends, so on and so forth, which will restrict airflow, and it's also not as large as some of the ones you'd get in the aftermarket world. This one in particular not only is bigger, but has a 110 millimeter mass airflow housing, and that's going to translate to some more horsepower and torque gains, pulling in more cold air, less restriction, better airflow. In addition to that, you get a heat shield, which is more of a roto-molded plastic. It's impact resistant, very hard, very durable. It's good with heat dissipation. And it also has weather stripping pre-applied to the top here, which is going to seal in underneath of your hood to block out some of the excess engine bay heat, keeping in the cold air. In addition to that, you also get new couplers, which are really high quality silicone, so they'll trap in all that cold air without any leaks. And you're also getting a new breather hose. So everything you need is in the kit. All we need to transfer over is our factory MAF sensor, which is just a couple of screws. So what do you say we tackle that first and then assemble our new intake? Now your factory sensor is held on by two T20 Torx screws, so grab your T20 Torx bit. I'm using an impact gun, and if you are, make sure you're using it on its lowest setting, being very careful not to strip out the bolts. You can also use a ratchet. All right, pop these guys out. Carefully remove your MAF sensor and set aside your factory intake. Next up, you want to take your factory MAF sensor and the gasket included in the kit, it's just a little rubber gasket. You're going to slide that over the end. From there, take the MAF sensor and slide it into place, and grab the Phillips head screws included in the kit and thread those in by hand. Just get a couple of threads started. Grab a Phillips head screwdriver and tighten them down. I'm gonna get that nice and snug so there's no air leak. Next up, grab the coupler included in the kit, put one clamp over the end of it, and we're gonna squeeze it and stretch it over the outlet that's gonna go into your throttle body. You're gonna seat that about halfway down, line up that clamp. You may need to loosen it with your 8mm socket. Once you line that up, tighten it down. Now what I like to do is just take the other side, grab a clamp, and just put it into place in preparation to tighten it down to the throttle body, but don't tighten it down just yet. Now we're over at the vehicle. You want to grab an 8mm socket and an extension. I'm going to use a swivel socket. We're going to remove this 8mm bolt on the rad support. This is going to be one of the retaining bolts that is going to help hold on our heat shield. Just want to be careful. You don't want to drop it in the engine bay. Next up, you can grab your heat shield and drop it into place. Now on some models, you may need to shuffle out of the way some of the coolant lines down at the bottom. In our case, we are going to need to do that. We're going to need to try to maneuver that just a little bit to fit our heat shield down here. Once you get it in place, line it up with the bolt holes on the side here of the wheel well and where we just removed that 8mm. We're going to grab our factory 10 and put it back over here. Thread that down a little bit by hand. Grab the 10mm included in the kit and replace that 8 we just took off. Grab your 10 socket and tighten down the bolt. Grab your JLT tubing, slide the one end into the heat shield, connect the other one to the throttle body. Make sure you have access to your clamp's bolt head. Grab your 8mm socket, tighten it down. Grab your filter Put the remaining clamp over the end, you're gonna drop it into place and connect it to your tubing. Make sure it's seated all the way on, all the way around, and tighten up that clamp. Next up, grab your vacuum hose included in the kit. Connect one end to the fitting on the underside of the tubing, and the other end's gonna go to the factory location on the head. All right, once you have that connected, connect the other end. You'll hear a click. Last step, grab your MAF sensor, connect the harness, you'll hear a click, drop down the red locking tab, and you're good to go. Since our intake's installed, now we can work on our tune. Grab your harness included in the BAMA Rev-X kit. We're gonna plug in the OBD2 slot underneath the dashboard on the left-hand side. Once you snap that into place to your OBD2, the other end's gonna go into the top of your Rev-X. All right, now we can get started. All right, grab your key, put it in the ignition, turn the key on, but don't start your engine. From here, your main menu boots up. I wanna take you guys straight into tuning, so go to Program Vehicle from the main menu. Confirm your VIN. Next, it may ask you to connect to Wi-Fi. It may also ask if you want to update your device. Now, our device is already up to date, so we're gonna hit skip, but if you haven't done so already, make sure you do this out of the box. Next, it asks for a cloud sync. If your tuner, in this case BAMA, put your tunes on the cloud, you need to access the cloud from here via Wi-Fi, pull them off and download them to your device. We've already done so, we're gonna hit skip. Just to notice that it is not legal for street use or sale in California or pollution-controlled vehicles. Flash continue, key on. At this point, we're basically going to select our tune. Now, our tuner has a lot of tunes on it, but yours should only have a 1 or 2 depending on how many you pulled off the cloud. In this case, we're just gonna focus on our 93 tune for our JLT intake from BAMA. So here are all of our tunes. We're gonna go down to the bottom, select JLT Series 3 93 Race. Once you select that, it processes. It'll ask you if you want to make any changes to the tune, any additional changes such as tire size, gear ratio, speed, rev limiter, so on and so forth. Those are some of the additional options. It is optional, so you can just take it as a base tune, which is what we're going to do once it's done loading up. It'll disable your preloaded tunes, so just hit confirm. At this point, if you want to make changes, you can. We're going to skip and then continue to confirm. At this point, it'll take time to save your stock tune from your GT to the Rev-X. If you ever want to revert back to stock, you can do that by just plugging it in and going through the same process. Return to stock will be one of the options. So you're going to turn your key off and then back on. Once it prompts you, it'll save your stock data, and then we'll get into writing your tune. Guys, keep in mind it'll load 0 to 100 several times. You just want to make sure you're not unplugging the device or turning your key off at any point. All right, now it begins writing your tune. It'll let us know when it's complete. It may ask you to turn your key off and on a couple of times, so just be on standby, be paying attention, just have a little bit of patience, and we'll be done in no time. All right, programming complete. You can hit done. It takes you back to the main menu. All right, let's walk through some of the menu options for the Rev-X. Now, we've already looked at program vehicle. Underneath that is gauges and data logging. Now, this is going to allow you to monitor some of your live engine vitals. So you want to make sure your key is on. Press continue. It's going to tap into the ECU. You're going to want to select your vehicle. It'll give you a list of different options there, including, Ford 07 and newer, Ford 08 and older, things like that. Once you select that, it'll move into the gauges. Now, in this case, we've got one gauge layout that has 8 different vitals. This is the most you can track at once. Super useful. As you can see, we have battery voltage, intake air temperature, coolant temperature, idle, so on and so forth. If you wanted to change any of them, why don't we go into gauge layout. We'll change it to something a little easier to read, like just 2 gauges. We'll have one on the top, one on the bottom. Battery voltage, coolant temp. If you wanted to change one of them, all you have to do is select. So we'll change battery voltage, go to item, we'll change that to air intake temp, hit approve, and it swaps that out. So you can track so many different engine vitals all at once, super useful. You can change it so that it mounts in landscape or portrait orientation. You can start recording the data log to communicate that with your tuner to make any updates, or if you want to track, how things are performing. So we're gonna hit stop, and that'll take you back to the main menu. Vehicle functions is underneath that. Read and clear DTC or diagnostic trouble codes. Check engine light comes on, plug your Rev-X in. You don't need any code reader. You can do it right with the device. Read the code. It'll give you the code and a description. You can clear it. Special functions, most guys won't need to worry about. That's more like a cam reset or cam relearn. We're gonna go ahead and exit. Vehicle info. This will give you important data such as your VIN number, your ECU strategy, all of the things you'll need to request new tunes in the future. You can take full advantage of the BAMA free tunes for life. Occasionally your tuner will ask for your strategy code or your VIN. That's right on the device. Device info, similar, but more on the device side. You have serial number, part number, firmware version. The serial number is something you need for new tunes as well. Under that, device settings. The top 4 are pretty important. Check for updates, cloud file sync, upload data to cloud, and Wi-Fi. You'll need Wi-Fi to be able to use the top 3. So Wi-Fi connectivity, connect to your local network. You can upload the data log I just showed you to the cloud to give to your tuner. You can download files that they upload to the cloud directly to your device, and you can check for updates. I recommend checking for updates anytime that you're gonna retune your vehicle. You can always do it right on the device with Wi-Fi. Underneath that, there's just simple display options, day, night mode, orientation, you can change the color. Real simple stuff, and you can change the orientation. That's useful for guys who maybe have a windshield mount, you want to mount it a certain way, you can orient it however you like. Hit exit, right back to the main menu, and that's your Rev-X. That's going to wrap up my review, install, and dyno testing of the JLT Series 3 cold air intake combined with the BAMA Rev-X tuner with 2 custom tunes for the 05 to 09 GT. If you want to get this combo kit for yourself, you can do so right here at AmericanMuscle.com.